Hey guys, welcome in. You are in the right place. We are going to get started here in about 5 minutes with your KW Consumer App training. So about 5 more minutes. So if you need to grab another cup of coffee, get settled, get your phone, because we're going to go through the consumer app together as a group. Just kind of get ready to roll. Again, we'll be starting here in about 5 more minutes. See you here very shortly. All right, guys, 2 o'clock. So let's go ahead and get started with your Q2 training. This is the KW Consumer app. For those of you that I have not met, my name is Marty Miller. I am your South Texas Regional Technology Trainer. Here to talk to you today again about the KW Consumer app. So I've been with KW for about 7 years now. Started off on a small team as a buyer's agent, worked my way up to becoming a listing agent. VP of sales, VP of expansion, ultimately became the president of that team. We ended up being the top 15 small team in Texas for 4 years running, or Houston, excuse me, 4 years running while I was there. I had a great experience. I have been a productivity coach most recently at the Platinum Market Center there in Cypress, did that for about 14 months. And then as of the first of the year, promoted to become your regional technology trainer. So excited to be here with you. I wish I could be there in person, and yet given the circumstances, glad that I can be here with you, at least electronically, if you will. So today we are going to talk about the KW Consumer app. This is a Zoom webinar call. So I wanted to walk through a little bit of housekeeping before we dive into that app. This webinar calls, your camera is not on, so we can't see you, you can't see us, everyone can see me, but I can't see any of you. So just a heads up, we don't have to worry about what's happening in your background, etc. The only person you should be able to see is me, and I can't see any of you. So just a heads up as far as that goes. Second of all, you are automatically muted, just so you know. Excuse me 1 second, and let me turn this off so we don't get notifications all call. There we go. You are automatically muted. At the bottom, you should see a button that says raise hand. If you want to have a conversation with me, feel free to raise your hand, and then we can talk to one another verbally. That way I can unmute you. Otherwise, that third button should say chat. And if you click on that, then you can actually type things in the chat. I can see your answers to the questions. Any questions that you may have for me, I can see those there as well, and we can kind of dive in. So let's test that function first. If you will click on chat window pops up, and then I want you to answer this question. What sort of app are we discussing today? What sort of app are we discussing today? Rachel is on point. Rachel's like, I got this, right? Excellent, Rachel. Yes, right? Now, this is a KW consumer app. And Sylvia, I love you, but it is not the command app. And that's why I want to make sure that everybody knows, right? And you probably were thinking consumer the entire time. I know you were, Sylvia. This is an app that was designed for consumers, to be used by consumers. And so the first 2/3 of this class, we're actually going to put on our consumer hat, and we're going to use the consumer app as the consumer would use it. The last third of the class, we're actually going to take our consumer hat off, we're going to put our agent hat on, and we're going to discuss how the consumer app interacts with command and how I can use it as an agent to improve or better my business, okay? Last things last, this is being recorded, so I'll send a link of this to your leadership team. That way they can send it out to you guys if you have to leave early or if you came in late or whatever it may be. So let's go ahead and jump into the phone and actually dive into the actual app itself. So here we go. If you have not already, your first piece of homework is to go download the KW Consumer app. You'll see what it looks like at the top left-hand corner there. It's a white background with red letters that says KW. Okay, this is the KW Consumer app. Once you click on it, you're going to want to make sure, it typically defaults to the search screen. You're going to want to make sure that the app has been branded to you as the agent. Now, if it's your first time downloading it, you are going to have to create an account. The KW Consumer Agent, a consumer app, does not know that you are a KW agent, and frankly, it doesn't care. It's going to ask you to create your own account to start with. So sometimes I've had agents go in and they click on login, thinking that they can use their command, connect, KW email and username, and that does not work. Okay, so make sure if it's your first time, you have created an account. Second, I want you to all click on the More button in the bottom right-hand corner. Click on More in the bottom right-hand corner. Now you will know that you are working with a branded version of the app if you see a headshot and the name of an agent at the very top of the screen. If for any reason you see this at the top of your screen, you will know that you're working with a non-branded version of the app. The app still works if there's no agent associated with it. However, it doesn't get all of the features of the app until it's been associated with an agent. And so in order to associate this app with an agent, we've got to go find one. So I can click on find an agent at the top if I have not already associated, and I can search for a particular agent's name, or I can search for an area of town. So if I were to search for Spring, Texas, it's going to give me a list of all the agents. Oops, no, it's not. I guess Spring is not considered an actual. Let's just do Houston. So Houston, I can search for agents in the Houston, Texas city, and it's going to give me a list of all of the agents that are doing business in the Houston and surrounding area, right? So if I start looking through, you're probably going to start recognizing people that you know, either they're in your market or you just know them from networking events, etc. Now, let me ask you a question. If we came up to a page that looked like, I don't know, let's stop here. If you were the consumer, you are the consumer right now, you're acting as a consumer, your consumer hat is on. Of the 6 amazing agents that are listed on this screen, and they truly are all amazing agents, and yet you are the consumer, and these are the 6 that you would choose to work with, which one of the 6 are you most likely to do business with? As a consumer, not knowing anything about these 6 agents or knowing that they're all amazing, which one of these 6 would you most likely do business with? You can go ahead and put that in the chat. Who would I most likely do business with of the 6 that are listed on the screen? Sylvia says Steven. Rachel says the one with the pick. Adams. There we go. Now we're answering, right? 100% the consumer wants to make a connection with you, and that starts with your profile picture. Okay, so if you do not have your profile filled out on command in kwconnect.com, you want to make sure that you have done that. How do you know if you've done it or not? Go search for yourself as an agent. And your name will pop up. You can choose yourself as the agent, and then you can see, okay, did everything come across correctly? Remember, it's both command marketing settings and your connect marketing settings that will power this profile. You can see my headshot has been loaded, my name and team, my market center address and website, my designations, mobile office and email, and then my full bio is loaded in as well. Okay, so homework item number 1 was go download it. Homework number 2, associate it with yourself. Homework number 3, make sure both your connect and command marketing profiles are completely filled out so that the consumer, when they search for you or an agent in your area, has a higher chance of connecting with you versus any other agent, right? And that starts with that professional headshot and continues on with all of your information. Once you find yourself, if you're working with a non-branded version of the app, you're going to want to click on Get in Touch at the very bottom of the screen. When I do that, you can see I have 2 choices to cancel or confirm. Once I click on Confirm, then this app is now associated with me. Typically, you'll get a screen that will pop up that'll say, this is now confirmed, Marty is your agent. I'm not sure why it didn't pop up on that screen, but I can see that I am now associated with my own app. You can see my name and headshot are listed at the very top of the More menu, which is in that bottom right. Okay, so trust but verify. If one of my clients said, yep, I downloaded your app, we're good to go, I would say, great. Can you click on that More button in the bottom right? Do you see my headshot? Because there's a lot of people, when you say, hey, I'm going to send you my app, they just go and download it from the App Store. And remember, when they're downloading it from the App Store, they're downloading, if they haven't followed your link, a non-branded version. You want to make sure they are branded to you so that A, you can see what they're doing in the app, and B, you guys can have correspondence and things like that. Catalina, if it says refer, it's most likely that you are not logged in. So you need to make sure that you have created an account and that you have logged in to that account. Let's do some searches, okay? So we're gonna dive into the search function, bottom left-hand corner. In the chat, if you have gone on a vacation in the last 12 months or you have vacations planned in the next 12 months, throw in there where are you headed, what are you gonna go see, what are some landmarks or some parks or areas or restaurants. Let me live vicariously, right? My wife is pregnant. We're baby number 3, August 19th. Super excited, but not a lot of vacations planned right now because we know we need to be, 1, cognizant of her travel, and 2, ready for that amazing, beautiful baby girl. So vacations, throw them in there. Where are you going? What do you want to go see? If you could go on vacation right now, where would you go? What would you go see? Let's focus on the US. So you guys help me out in the chat. Where have you gone? Where are you going? Where would you want to go? If not, I'm just going to start making up destinations for you. Aruba. Rachel, I would love Aruba, not in the US though. Where in the US? You guys are going all over the place. The Rachels want to go outside of the city. All right, Leo, Las Vegas, where would you go? Is there a particular casino, a particular restaurant? Leo, let me hear Las Vegas. Tammy, oh, Ashley. Ashley is a woman after my own heart. Ashley, I don't know if you knew this or not, but my wife and I, we actually celebrated our honeymoon in Yosemite. All right, so let's just use Yosemite. Ashley, do you happen to know the address for Yosemite Park? That's okay, I don't either. So Yosemite, right? I can literally just put in Yosemite National Park and do a search. Ashley, does that look like Yosemite National Park? Want to buy a house nearby? All you have to do is scroll out and then you can see there are houses listed near Yosemite Park. All right, Destin came back with South Point Hotel in Las Vegas. So I'm going to put in South Point Hotel. We're going to see what that comes up with. Hey, Leo, does that look like South Point Hotel? Right there off of Las Vegas Boulevard. Right, zoom right in. There's the hotel. I mean, you can't see it, but I can almost guarantee you that that's where the hotel is. Let me ask you, how many of you have gone to Disneyland and thought, man, those flights were expensive. It sure would be nice to live nearby. Well, there's Disneyland, and here's some houses located nearby. What if you're like, Florida? No, that's for the birds. Let's go to Disney World. Oh, now we're in Disney World, right? There's Epcot Center Drive, and you can see we're in a totally different area. I used to be the general manager for Perry's Steakhouse and Grill, and I worked at Papa's Brothers Steakhouse. We used to go to wine country pretty often, and I always liked Silver Oak Winery. And then I look up Silver Oak Winery, and I realize, well, that's not the right one. Silver Oak. What about the White House? Anyone ever wanted to live near the White House? Not to get too political, but there are houses located for sale around the White House if you're interested. How about the Statue of Liberty? Ever wanted to see the Statue of Liberty or maybe view it every night from your second floor balcony? There's houses for sale right around the Statue of Liberty. Now, how many times did I put in a street address? How many times did I put in a city? How many times did I put in a state? Did you guys see me do that once? Right? Not once did I have to put in an actual city, state, or address because the consumer app partners with Google. You can even see Google's logo at the bottom left-hand corner there. So when I'm searching in that search box at the very top, if I'm not putting in a street address or city or state, Google is basically saying, what is the most likely, right, most likely address associated with this search term? And then we're going to zoom the map in on that search term. Now, again, if there had been 2 Yosemite National Parks, and it'd have to guess between the 2. So if you just search for McDonald's, it's most likely going to pull the McDonald's near you, not the McDonald's that you love because that's where you had your first Happy Meal when you were 4 years old in blank city, blank state, right? Whatever it may be. So know that you can search by major landmark. Let's just take it back home. How many of you have gone to concerts or the rodeo, etc., and you're like, man, it would have been nice to live nearby so I don't have to drive all the way home? There is Reliant Arena, right? So you can see it right there in the middle of the screen. And I can zoom out a little bit and I can see there are homes for sale around Reliant. All right, so searching by landmark. Let's search by neighborhood. Throw in the chat some popular neighborhoods there in your area. Popular neighborhoods in your area. Someone type them out in the chat. And throw in neighborhoods that are well known there in the Spring area. Who's got a neighborhood for me? When I start searching for those. Okay, because I'm going to start putting it in, and then we're actually going to start searching. Champions. All right, so let's just put in Spring Branch. I think that's a neighborhood, right? Not the city, but the neighborhood. Spring Branch. Spring Branch Acres. Is that what we're looking for, Adrian? All right, so let's put in Spring Branch Acres and see if that pulls up. Spring Branch. Does that look like the area that we're looking in? Because we've got Spring Branch Acres, we've got Spring Branch Estates, Glenlock. I know that one well, Rachel. Glenlock, I've actually bought and sold in there. So I could put in Glenlock Farms. Right? Does that take me right to Glenlock Farms? Everybody see that community? So we can actually search by neighborhood. A lot of you guys are throwing in kind of areas. Remember, these are neighborhood names, and this is getting powered by Nextdoor. I didn't even spell Glenlock correct, and it still pulled it up, right? So you can see that on the screen. So Nextdoor is powering our neighborhood searches. When I'm searching on a map and I'm searching at this view, you can see there are no neighborhoods even showing up. And yet, as I start to zoom in, you're going to start to see blue boundaries show up on your map. Those blue boundaries represent the neighborhood boundaries being powered by Nextdoor. As I continue to zoom in, you can see that the neighborhood names start to pop up. There's Sugarberry Place, there's Sugarberry, there's Glenlock Farms, Memorial Springs, Hollow Glen, Ashford Place, Northern Point. You guys are probably familiar with all of these neighborhoods. So the nice thing is that we do have the ability to search by neighborhood. How often have you had people say, you know what, I don't know much about that Spring area, but I've heard Glenlock Farms is a really nice community. Great, you can actually search on the app for that specific neighborhood or any other neighborhood, right? Here in Katy, they always say Cinco Ranch. You could actually search for Cinco Ranch and get the information about those neighborhoods. I can click on the white box that says Glenlock Farms, and I can get information about that actual neighborhood. I can see the average days on market, home price, price per square foot. I can see what locals are saying. A lot of times that is built upon what we're searching for, right? So different, what locals are saying based upon what we're purchasing, not what we're searching for. What we're purchasing, a lot of times you can track, if you're using a loyalty card, debit card, credit card, they're tracking all the purchases back to your address. Spatial.ai is one of the companies that powers that. Next, you can see commute times, right? So you have the ability, and this is based upon the neighborhood. This neighborhood's in the Jersey Village area. But you're going to see when we get into the actual listings, we can actually calculate our commute time to work, to church, to school, to our favorite restaurant, whatever it may be. We can add up to 3 places. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. Next, you can see the information about public schools in that area, zoned to that neighborhood. How often do we hear, don't be the source of the information, be the source of the information. So how often do you also hear, what are the schools like? How good are the schools? Well, your app can be the source of the information, because you can see there on the screen, there are the scores for that information, or that school, or schools powered by Pitney Bowes. Next, we also have an integration with Yelp. So I can see, based upon these neighborhood boundaries, any local restaurants, grocery, nightlife, cafes, shopping, arts and entertainment, or fitness. And then below that, see all of those different locations that are in and around the actual neighborhood based upon the integration with Yelp. As I continue to scroll down, finally, I'm going to get into homes for sale in that neighborhood. And I can swipe left, and move through those homes that are being listed for sale in the actual neighborhood. And I can do that for any one of these neighborhoods. So I've got Glenlock Farms. I might say, well, that's a little expensive. Are there any neighborhoods that are around that? Okay, great. Let me move over here. All right, so this looks like it's a little neighborhood just over, let's see, Glen Haven Estates. All right, so I can get an idea of what that price point is. Then I can look at Memorial Estates and get an idea of what that price point is, right? And so the consumer can kind of come through and literally search for homes. Before they search for homes, they're searching for neighborhoods, because we know oftentimes that's just as important. So we've searched for landmarks, we've searched by neighborhood. Now we can do just a good old-fashioned actual property search, right? Just the way you would do anytime you were on any other app. So let's say that this is the area, let's go back to Glenlock Farms. So I'm looking in Glenlock Farms, and I say, great, this is the area I want to live in. I'm going to be searching for a house that's somewhere between, I don't know, let's go 300 and 450. And 3 daughters means 3 bedrooms, or 4 bedrooms, right? They each got to have one, we got to have one. 2 dogs means it's got to be a single family house. And then I can click on more, and I can get additional features that I can search by. So you can see listing type. The nice thing is this app can actually be used both for homes for sale and for leases. So see below for sale, there is that for rent toggle. I can toggle that on and start looking for lease properties, or go back to for sale and toggle that on as well. 3 daughters means I got to have at least 3 bathrooms. And then you can see I can put in additional features in there if I choose to. Next, I can click on done. And I now have, what is that? I think it said 20 plus homes. For some reason, my price didn't stick. Let's do that again. 300 to 450. And see the homes that match my criteria now. So you can still see I have a variety of homes. Let's also say, hey, I want to be south of Glenlock Forest, but still be in the Glenlock community. So I can actually click on the draw button in the top right-hand corner. And now I can say, this is the area that I want to be in with regards to Glenlock Farms. And I can actually draw it on there. And then you can see now it is shaded in blue, and I'm only seeing properties for sale in that specific section of Glenlock Farms that I want to be in. Now that probably took me about 5 minutes to put all those filters in, and I don't want to have to put that filter in every single time I do a search. So I can actually save this search and then come back to it anytime I come back to the app. So I would just click on save in the top right-hand corner, just above that drawing icon. And I can call this Glen, I think it's 2 N's, right? I'm probably spelling that wrong. Glenlock, it's been a while. Farms, and save that as a saved search. You'll see as soon as you click on save, it's going to say, yep, you've saved that. And to access my saved searches, at the very bottom toolbar there, you'll see the 4th icon over is a heart. If I click on it, then I have the ability to view my recent saved searches. On the bottom half of the screen, you can see there's Glenlock Farms. I would click on it, and it's going to, bring up, well, I'm not sure why it's not bringing up that filter because we just actually did it. Let's see. Oh, it looks like it did it twice for some reason. There it is. So there's Glenlock Farms, that filter that I just built out with the area, bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. It goes right back to it. Okay, so your client can actually build out a variety of saved searches. You can see on my app, because I've taught this class multiple times, I have a variety of saved searches. So these might be searches in different neighborhoods. They might be searches in different price points. They might be searches for, this is my 5-month plan and then my 5-year plan, right? So you can build out a variety of custom searches and save them independent of one another. Next, let's actually look at a listing. So you can see there are 5 listings on the screen. Let's start with 339K, right? The least expensive. Let me take a look at this one. I can go through, when I look at the actual listing, the first thing I see are the pictures at the very top there. So I can swipe left and start to see the interior photos of the home. I can also actually click on the house of the photos, and then you'll see all of the photos that are available are going to pop up. I can click on any one of them, let's say the floor plan, and I can't really read that. I'm getting old, guys, so I'm going to start to zoom in, and now I can better read the floor plan. I can also turn my phone sideways and get the full landscape view as well. So that's an easy way to kind of zoom in and zoom out in landscape, or turn it back upright, and now I'm getting the vertical view of those photos. Okay, so that's looking at the photos. Underneath the price, you can see that this home had a recent price reduction of $6,000. So that will show up anytime there has been a recent price reduction. You'll see that little squiggly arrow and how much that price reduction was. Next, you can see bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage, and then the address of the property. Just below that, I have a toolbar with 3 options in it. That's save, hide, and share. If this is a property that I am interested in, I could click on save, and it would say, great, you want to save this as a favorite or to a custom collection. By default, you're going to have first names favorites. So it'd say Adrian's favorites, Ashley's favorites, Josie's favorites, right? So I could save that to my favorites. Or if I'm wanting to create various collections of properties, then I can create a new collection and actually title this I'm still probably spelling that wrong, Glenlock Farms. And now you can see I can just click on the check mark and save it. And it's now going to save that property to my newly created collection called Glenlock Farms. If I go back to the map by clicking on that down arrow button in the top left and then pull down, you can see that that is now a favorite. I can do the same thing. I can come into this one. I spend some time looking at it. I can even, before I pull it up, if I want to mark it as a favorite, I can click on that heart icon on the photo, and then it'll pull up my collections from there and save it there. So now I have saved 2 properties to my favorites. Maybe I start to look at this 370, and I'm like, for that kind of money, I don't think that's the property that's going to be the fit for me. I don't want to see that property listing anymore on my map. I already know it's not going to be a good fit. My wife and I don't prefer corner properties, too much traffic, whatever. I can click on hide, and you'll see the eyeball turns red. And then when I click on that down arrow again in the top left, just below the time, I can pull that down, and you'll see it goes light gray. And then if I log off the app or even move away from that map portion and come back, I will no longer see that listing for sale. So you can literally train your consumers, hey, if it's one that you want to see or kind of keep on the list, favorite it. If it's one you know is not going to be one that's a good match, go ahead and hide it. And that way you know anytime you look at that saved search, it's either a favorite or it's a new listing, because you've already hidden everything else. If it was something you liked, you favorited it. If it's something you didn't like, you hid it. So if I come back tomorrow and I have these 2 listings show up tomorrow after I've hid them yesterday, right, then I know that these are new listings. So it's a way for your consumer to kind of fine tune that list. How many times have you heard it where a buyer says, yeah, I keep pulling up your app, but it's the same 6 properties, but I don't know if it's the same 6, so I click on every single one, right? Well, here's a great way for you to say, nope, just hide them if they're not a good match, favorite them if you want to keep them on the list, and otherwise, if it's something new, then you know it's a brand new listing because you've hidden everything else or favorited everything else. So that's a way you can actually save the listings. Next, as we look at the listing, you can see underneath Save, Hide, there is also Share. I can click on that Share button, and I can send that out via text message. I can airdrop it, email it, Facebook, Slack, Messenger, whatever your communication apps are on your phone. Just know that they send an actual link to the property. So the person you're sharing it with, your partner, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, dad, best friend, etc., doesn't actually have to have the KW Consumer app. They can just click on the link, and it will take them to a landing page with just that property on it. It doesn't prompt them to download the app, and it doesn't require that they have the app downloaded either. Okay, so just a heads up there. Next, underneath that, you'll see 2 buttons for Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered. So you have the information there to make sure that you're sharing that with all of your buyers. Obviously, we know that we all have local lenders in our lives, and yet the majority of the time, I've never met a local lender that wasn't okay with competing. They know they're competing with other lenders. What's one more? So it's important to have Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered on there. You would hate for someone to find out that you had access to Keller Mortgage. They could have used it and didn't save the amount of money they could have. There's actually right now in the East Coast, I think it's New York, Connecticut, somewhere up there, an instance where an agent's actually being sued, unfortunately, because they did not disclose Keller Mortgage when they bought the first house. When they bought the second house with a different agent, that was a Keller Williams agent, that agent recommended Keller Mortgage, and when the buyers found out how much they could save that they didn't on the first property, well, now they're upset with that agent and are suing for that difference. So kind of sucks, but just make sure that you're talking about it, obviously, and if you're not, your app's got your back. It's automatically going to talk about Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered. Next, you can see the description from the MLS of the property. So this is the public description being pulled in from the MLS. Now, let me ask you this, based upon the screen that you can see right now, based upon what you can see on your screen, throw in the chat who the listing agent is. Who is the listing agent? Go ahead and put it in the chat. What's the name of the listing agent? All right, I'm going to assume A, that you're all paying attention, and B, that none of you can find the name of the listing agent. And that's because it's not actually listed. Thank you, Tammy. Right? The listing agent's information is not listed on any of the listings in the KW Consumer app, at least in the state of Texas, because it is not a requirement by our MLS. So here's the great news. You don't have to worry about when your buyer is using our app that they're going to attempt to circumvent you to go directly to the listing agent. Guys, the reality is a lot of your consumers are using apps right now that quickly and easily will introduce them to the listing agent and all of their contact information. Some of you guys have consumers that are using apps that give them multiple agents listing and contact information, and it's not you. And what does KW not want to happen? They don't want your consumer to backdoor you, right? To go around you and attempt to work with the listing agent directly. And so they protect you by not listing, at least in Texas, the listing agent's information on the actual listing. So it's not necessarily a selling point for the consumer, but it should certainly be a selling point for you, why you want your consumers using it. Because if they have a question, they click on Ask Your Agent, and that goes to you. It doesn't go to the listing agent. It doesn't go to that agent that pays for leads. It goes right back to you. Home details, you can see, are pulled from the MLS, additional information that's being pulled over. Next, you have the opportunity to explore the neighborhood, which we did when we first started the class. But if they hadn't done that previously, they can now come in on any listing and see all the information about the actual neighborhood. Next, you can see you've got market stats for that neighborhood, more information there. What locals say, again, powered by spatial.ai. Then you've got walkability. So that's powered by LiveBy. It's a company that basically assesses, all right, what's the proximity to public transportation? Does the community have a lot of sidewalks? Are there any nearby restaurants, grocery stores, etc.? And kind of gives you an idea of, if I lived here and didn't have a car, could I get around? So we think about like Manhattan, obviously with all the mass transportation and subway, et cetera, like I would say walkability there is probably pretty high as compared to car dependent here. Most of our master plan communities were not built for people to walk unless they're just walking their dog, right? So that's why we typically score pretty low on walkability here in Texas. Next, I talked to you about commute times. So if I wanted to come in and put in, all right, if I'm gonna buy this property, where is, someone throw the address of your market center. So someone's gonna do market center, and then I want somebody else to put in their favorite restaurant nearby, and then I want somebody else to put in their favorite grocery store in the neighborhood. All right, so we're looking for, what's the address to the market center? What's your favorite restaurant? What's your favorite grocery store? So Rachel's giving me the address to the market center. If I bought this house and I wanna know how far it is to get to work, meaning that I gotta go to work at the market center, 8344 Spring Cypress. I'll probably help to spell it right. Spring. And there you see 8344 Spring Cypress Road. I can add that as a location. Guys, here's the news. I'm only 4 minutes from work. That wouldn't be bad, right? So Trent says, hey, my favorite restaurant is Papa Dough. So I'm going to add a place. Watch this, Trent. I'm just going to search for Papa Dough. And is that the one you like to go to? The one, Willowbrook, is that FM 1960? Yep, Rachel says, yep, that's the one. So look, I didn't even have to put in the address. I didn't have to put in the city. It already knows what address I'm looking at and says, what's the most likely chance that that's the favorite restaurant? So I can click on that, and I can see I've got a 15-minute drive to get to Papa Dough. All right, so Trent put in 7110 FM 1960. I'm not sure where that is, but I'm going to put it in anyway because it's important to Trent. He wants to know the drive time from this property to that location. Okay, so if I put in S71, there it is, Farm to Market Road. Trent, wherever we're headed, it's going to take us 14 minutes to get there. So if that's church, if that's school, if that's another popular grocery store or restaurant. So you can see the consumer can actually put in up to 3 places that's important to them. Guys, one time I worked with a series of buyers, and it was a couple and their mom lived with them, but their mom was elderly, did not drive, had to be within walking distance of a grocery store and a Catholic church. And I said, I don't know if HAR can make that work for us, right? So that consumer could have literally said, all right, we know what neighborhoods we want to be in. So what grocery stores are around that neighborhood? What churches are around that neighborhood? They could have put those addresses in as their places and then easily seen what the driving or biking or then walking distance it was to get to work. So if I work at your office and I'm a bike enthusiast and I want to ride my bike to work every day, cool, it's only going to take me 8 minutes. If I just like, it's a pretty day and I'm like, you know what, I just want to walk to work today. I just want to get some exercise. It would only take me 30 minutes to walk to work from this address. If I'm a runner, then obviously it would take, whatever, half that time. So it's a great way for the consumer to actually be able to determine, what do they always ask you? Like, okay, we got to be halfway between my work and her parents' house. Okay, great. So then all we have to do is put in the two locations and we'll see, all right, well, it takes you 20 minutes to get to work and it takes you 14 minutes to get to your wife's parents' house. So they can actually put those locations in and then see what the drive time is between those locations. Again, we talked about the neighborhood school information that you can see there. It's actually also showing a couple of private schools that are near the neighborhood or near this listing. And then I can see upcoming open houses and then a mortgage calculator. Just be careful on the mortgage calculator. That is based without taxes. And we know that obviously in the Houston area, taxes can make a big difference on your monthly payment. So just make sure you realize that it's not including taxes. Got more information on Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered. And then, guys, this is a recent update as of last Wednesday that just happened in the app. The consumer can actually request a tour of any listing on the KW app, and they can request to do that in person or via video. So if I click on Schedule Video Tour here from within the listing, or the white box at the very bottom, I can do that as well. If I click on it, you can see I can choose up to 3 days and 3 times. Here's the nice thing, guys. It's times of day, not specific time, and they cannot choose the same day. So if I want to see this property tomorrow after work, I could choose Tuesday evening. Let's say Wednesday I'm off from work, so I could do Wednesday anytime, really. And then Thursday, maybe at lunch break, if that's the only time that works for my agent. I could then scroll down and say, all right, do I want to do this in person, meaning I want to meet my agent at the property? I could just click on in person and schedule a tour, and it would send a request to me as the agent. Or I could actually do a live video tour. Obviously, given today's circumstances with COVID, a lot of people are not comfortable going to houses, or sometimes there's listings that say, hey, no in-person tours, only agent, right? The agent is the only one, or no more than one person, or whatever it is. So you can see that I could schedule something with my agent via live video on my preferred platforms, whether that was Zoom, FaceTime, maybe Facebook Messenger. I can choose 3 of those and then click on Schedule Video Tour, and it will say your request has been submitted and your agent will get in touch. I'm going to show you in a little while where that actually went in Command so that you as the agent can see that coming in. Next, I can see my own activity for this home. Additional homes that are available for sale. So you can see as I swipe through those aren't always in the community, they're just nearby proximity-wise. And then all of the legal information there from KWRI. So that information is included on any listing that I click on when I am on the map. So you can see all of the additional information. If your consumer goes to more in the bottom right-hand corner, they can click on My Account, the second option down, and choose places there and actually put their 3 places in from that menu as well. So they can do it directly from the listing or from their More menu underneath their account. So that is one way there that they can add additional places. So we spent some time looking at filtering. We spent some time looking by landmark, by community. We drew on the map. I showed you how to say, okay, I want to be in this particular area of this particular neighborhood. Here's a couple other things that we can do in the search. And remember, guys, your consumers most likely already have an app on their phone that they use for real estate. A lot of the things that I'm telling you right now are so that you can, quote unquote, sell the app to your consumers so that you're ensured that they're using yours and not some other app, right? Making sure that they are using your app. So how many of you have either driven by, walked by, I don't know, traveled for work by a particular area and you see a new for sale sign or just a for sale sign in general, and you're like, I'm not looking to move, but I'm nosy and curious and I want to know how much is that house for sale, right? We all do it. And here's the great thing with the KW Consumer app. Anywhere in the US or Canada, you see a for sale sign, you're standing outside the house or near the house, you can actually click in the top right-hand corner, the arrow that's kind of cockeyed to the left, and immediately I get taken to where my GPS on my phone says I am. So right now I'm in Katy. So you can see it zoomed in where I'm sitting in my office, right? And showing you exactly what my location is. So if you're ever curious, because again, you're on vacation, you're going to see family, you're traveling, and you just want to know what's the value of properties around me, you can click on that location arrow at the top right-hand corner and be immediately taken on the Realty app to where you stand right now. Guys, my wife and I and our kids, we have twin 5-year-olds. We go on bike rides and walks pretty regularly. I use that feature almost every single time because we have houses that are popping up for sale around us pretty regularly. And I'll click on it just so I can know, all right, what's it for sale for? How much is it? Who's the listing agent? What's it look like inside? So it's a great feature that the consumer can use anytime they're on our app to know what's the house for sale that I'm standing near or in front of. How often do they call you? They're like, I don't know. I'm not sure what street we were on, or I don't even know what neighborhood we were on, but it was red brick, 2 stories with black shutters. Do you know that listing? Right? And half of them are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, ma'am or sir. So you can train the consumer to actually use your app, and that way they don't have to call you. They can click on it and then view the listing themselves. And then if they have questions on that particular listing, then they can contact you from there. Last thing on search, how many of you have gone on a buyer showing or a listing appointment and you said, ooh, I wish I would have known it back to that? One time it happened to me where I actually had a CMA ready for a listing appointment. I showed up at the house and it backed to a commercial car wash. Like literally, you open the back door, you can hear the motors humming of the water pumps, and you can see the bays of the car wash behind their back fence. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have known that. This CMA is out the window. They literally just lost like $20,000 because they backed to that. I can't sell it for this price. I wish I would have known it back to that. So here's the cool thing with the consumer app. You can use this as a consumer or an agent. Remember, we have a partnership with Google, which also then includes the Google Earth function. Click on the More button in the top right-hand corner. Do you see how there's 2 tabs? There's the Listings tab and then the Map tab. Click on the Map tab. You can see the default view is just kind of areas, bodies of water, streets with street names. However, if I click on Satellite, and then click on Done, you can see then I can actually see the quote unquote Google Earth view, the aerial view of what's happening. So for example, I can see this is a new construction community, not quite built out except for that one little home, probably the model. I can see, well, this area, right? How nice would it be to own one of these houses that backs up to the park with the lake there? If I'm going on a listing appointment and let's say I'm looking to list a home in Hunter's Terrace, and we don't have a pool, I might be in trouble. Look how many people in Hunter's Terrace have a pool. And if my listing doesn't, I might be the one house, right? Or the 25 in the entire neighborhood without a pool. So you can do this when you're searching for property yourself. You can do this when you're going on buying showings, right? Showings for your buyers. Look up the property so you can get a better idea of what's around it. How many times do you work with buyers that say, we don't want to back to a bayou? We don't want to back to a busy street. We don't want to back to power lines. Well, you can use the Google view and kind of zoom in and say, okay, well, if I zoom in on this one, I can see there they are. Do you see the 2 white lines going across just above the fence? Those are power lines, right? So this house backs to, I remember those people, they built a pool right underneath power lines. That's crazy in my world. But you can quickly and easily see if they have power lines. Do they back to a bayou? This one gets the trifecta, right? Power lines, and they back to a bayou. Or do they back to a busy street? All of those types of things that you can do when you're using the map view, excuse me, the aerial view. So we're gonna click on map and see that satellite view. I'm gonna go back to default and click on done, but just one more selling point when you're talking to people. Again, remember, you want them to use your app and not the app they're already using. So you need to be talking about the features that your app has that their app doesn't, so that you can get them to switch over. And that's just one more feature. At the bottom of the screen, guys, there's 5 buttons. We spent a lot of time in search. We spent a little bit of time in more, showing you how to brand the app, how to get into the My Account feature. Guys, your consumers can add a co-buyer. So that way both buyers, husband, wife, partner, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, can see what's happening in the other person's account. You can also, as a consumer, share the KW app with another consumer. The reality is you can share it as an agent from within the app should you choose to, but just be careful because when you click on share the KW app and say you want to text it to a friend, if it's coming from you, it's weird to say, hey friend, I use the KW app to search for homes with my realtor, Marty Miller. It doesn't really make sense, right? However, you could come in and change it. And you could say something like, hey, Adrian, please use, right? And then just change the text so that it makes sense. My KW app to search for homes with me, right? And then it makes sense. It's still the same link that's being sent over. But if I were to put Adrian's phone number in here right now and send her this text, then obviously she could search, and if she clicked on that link, it would take her directly to the App Store based upon which device she had and would allow her to then download the KW Realty app, and it would be automatically branded to me as the agent, okay? That's one of 4 ways I'm going to show you to get your app into people's hands. The other 3 we're going to come back to in just a second. Feed is the second icon at the bottom left, and this one is still currently being developed. There's some functionality and some that's coming soon. So soon, you'll have the ability as an agent to create a saved search and then share that with your consumer. So I could put in my own search criteria and then just kind of send it over to them, and then they could click on it and search for properties in that area. I could do the same thing with collections. I could create a collection of properties I think they'll like and then share all of them via one collection. That's coming soon as well. And then finally, you can see anytime we do any updates to the guide, they do show up in the feed. Now, what's the guide? I'm glad you asked. The icon in the middle of the screen at the very bottom, super important. You can see there are 2 tabs in this guide, the buying guide and the selling guide. Let me ask you this. If I sent you my app, I'm the agent, I shared with you my app, you've got it, you've downloaded it, you're checking it out, you click on guide and you start reading through, and you're reading each one of these steps, right? You can see there's information listed underneath each one of the steps on either one of the guides. Who do you automatically assume wrote this guide? What is your assumption as to who wrote this guide? The agent, right? An agent wrote it. Not only an agent, I wrote it, right? If you're my consumer and I share the app with you, I think your assumption is that I wrote this. So flip the script. If I'm the consumer, I think Rachel wrote this. I think Tammy wrote it. I think Josie or Ashley or Adrian, whoever, I think you wrote it as the agent. So it's important, guys, that you spend some time, this is your next piece of homework, is to come into the app and spend time looking at those 2 tabs and reading through each one of the steps and what they include. Because here's the reality, when you share this app with a consumer, they think you wrote it and they think you mean everything that's included, every word that's included in these steps that you do, you believe in, you know, whatever, they're part of your process. I would have a notepad out, and I would have a pen next to me. And I would be going through the app and I would read each one of these steps. And I would say, all right, when it comes time to start the search, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? Do I recommend that? Is this what I want them to do? And I would take note of anything that I did not agree with, something that I don't do. It's just not how I do my business. Remember, these guides, although very comprehensive, were built for a national audience. So there's some things that you might not do that are done for others. There are some things you may do that this guide doesn't include. So write notes. I don't do this. Wait a minute. I do this and it's not included. I'm going to show you in just a second how you can come in and add, subtract, or edit each one of these steps. For example, on the selling side, you can see right now, I love KWRI and I think we have an amazing marketing team. I'm thankful they're in my life because I am not good at marketing. But that being said, how many of you believe that there's only 5 steps to the listing process? Now, each one of these steps is very comprehensive, don't get me wrong, right? That's a lot of information. However, I think the kind of misstep was putting so much information packed into so few steps. My recommendation is you come in here and you actually split it out, right? So create additional steps, meaning showing your home could actually be staging your home, preparing your home for photography and videography, preparing your home for the MLS, and then showing your home. And you have information included in each one of those steps. Because here's the other cool thing. As an agent, you can walk the consumer through and check off each of these steps as you do them. And I would use this as a tool. Guys, we know when we're on the buyer consult or the listing appointments, anytime we are on a buyer consult or a listing appointment, we are competing. Even if they haven't told you they're interviewing other agents, every single person we know knows at least 2 more agents. So always act as if you were competing. And if they say, well, tell me more about what you do that's unique to just you. When you work with me, you actually get my KW Consumer app, which includes a guide that I have helped build out, including all the steps of what it's like to buy a home with me or sell a home with me. And what's more, Mr. Buyer, what's more, Mrs. Seller, as we complete each one of those steps, I'm going to check them off for you. So that you know at any point during the transaction, what have we done? What are we doing? And what do we have left still to do, right? So it's a great way for you to kind of get an idea of what's happening in your world, so that if you wake up at 2 a.m. in a cold sweat and you're like, I don't know what's happening. What are Sylvia, where are we? Stacy, I don't know what we're doing. They can go on your app and they can actually see which items you've checked off for them. They know what step we're on, what we've done, and what we have left to do. So at this point, we've explained the consumer app pretty well as a consumer. Now I want to transition you into the agent side of things. So we're going to take our consumer hat off. We're going to put our our agent hat on, and we're going to shift gears out of the app into Command, and I'm going to start showing you the interactions that can happen within Command. Okay, so I'm going to switch my share, and we are going to move into KW Command. So here's my Command platform. We talked about the guides, the ability to add, subtract, or edit any of the steps. All of that is done underneath the consumer applet. So you can see here's the consumer applet. I'm going to click on that. And when I dive into this applet, I'm going to get 3 tabs: landing page, agent site, guide builder. When I click on guide builder, you can see there are the buying and selling guide. Here's the cool news. In the future, you'll actually be able to edit additional guides, create and then edit. So I could have a buying guide for first-time home buyers, a buying guide for luxury home buyers, a buying guide for foreclosure home buyers. I might have a different process when I work with a luxury seller versus a standard seller. There might be some additional things I want to highlight that I do that I don't do for every listing, right? So in the future, you'll have additional guides you can build out. Right now, just the 2, buying and selling. So to edit, in order to add, update, or subtract anything from those guides, we're going to click on the pencil next to either one of the 2. Anytime when you're in Command and you see a pencil, you know it means edit. Anytime you want to edit, you should look for the pencil. Okay, so I'm going to click on the pencil next to this guide. You can see here are the 5 steps. If I want to edit one, I can click on any one of those 5, and you'll see here's the image associated with this guide step. Here's the card title. Here's the card subtitle, right? The kind of teaser text here. And then remember, when they click on each one of the steps, they get more information. That's called workspace text. And you can see all of that listed here. So any changes you want to make to an existing step, that's how you would do it. If I wanted to add steps, I would come down to the bottom and click on add a step. And let's just say, we talked about it earlier, it might be staging your home. And homes that are staged. And then I would drag and drop a photo or go find a photo in my hard drive. You do have to have a photo for each one of these steps, just as a heads up. So I would go find a site that has royalty-free, copyright-free images so you don't get in trouble, and then use those as well. It might be pictures of your team, right? I had someone talk to me about that. They actually included a guide step that says meet the team. And it's on both the buying and the selling guide. And it introduces to all the people that you would work with when you work with that team. Remember, all of you have a team. So even if I'm an independent agent, it might be meet the team. And it's my photographer, my stager, my title company rep, my recommended inspector teams. You know what I mean? Like, you could talk about your team on any one of these steps. Even if you're not on an agent team, you still have people that you refer and prefer to do business with. When you add that step, you can see it defaults to put it as the last. However, we're not going to close and then stage. So I can click on these 6 little dots, this tab, and I can work that stage back up to the very top. If for any reason I decide this is not a stage that I want to have included in the app, I would click on the trash can. You can see that removes that step altogether. Now, earlier we talked about walking them through the steps once our guides have been built out. We actually do that underneath opportunities. So you have to have created an opportunity for them in order to walk them through those opportunity steps. So for example, here is a fake opportunity I created with a friend of mine that actually downloaded my app. So once I'm in her opportunity by clicking on the name of it, you'll see multiple tabs across the top, and I'm going to click on Seller Profile tab. That will show me whether or not that person is connected with my platform. So you can see Elena is connected. And then as long as they are connected, you'll have the ability to manage your guide. So you can see in this guide, we have completed 4 of the steps. And then if we were closing, I could go ahead and click on the close, right? I might actually have a step in between appraisal and close that says clear to close. Sometimes we get that the day of, 2 days before, a week before. And I could have that step and kind of talk about what that means, and then I could check that off. Anytime we check off a step and we save the changes, then the consumer's app now has a blue check mark next to that actual step, showing that we have completed that step. The consumer always knows where we are in the process, all right? So that's working and completing and editing and adding to the guide. Now let's talk about getting this amazing app into your consumer's hands. We talked earlier, the first way obviously is share the app from within the app, just make sure you change the text. Next, you can actually share your direct link with people. So if I go back to the consumer applet here on the left-hand side, second to last one, any one of these tabs, it doesn't matter which one I'm in, you'll see that I have a Site and App Settings button. If I click on Site and App Settings, I'll get 4 tabs, General, URL, Theme, Site Pages. I want to go to URLs, and I want to look for the app URL. This is my custom URL for me and only me. So if the consumer were to click on it, if I sent them there, sorry about all my open windows, I got a lot going on at once, right? So you can see that if they click on that actual link, they get taken to an app download page that is branded to me. If they click on one of these 2 buttons, they'll go to the App Store and their different device and download a version that is branded to me. Or they can actually, if they're on their desktop or laptop and they're not viewing this from a phone or a tablet, then they can actually put their phone number in. It'll send them a link, just like we did from within the app. It'll send them a link that they can click on and then download my app from there. So share it from within the app, or share my direct app link, which you see underneath Site and App Settings, URLs. Here's my app URL, okay? Guys, right now, ignore the app text code. It is going away. It has been very inconsistent with regards to its success as being used by agents. And the labs team has worked very hard on it. And unfortunately, they can't not determine what are causing the issues because it's very sporadic. There's no way to determine whether it's iPhone or Android, whether it's a certain operating system, a certain version of the phone. Long story short, they're doing away with the app text code. So right now, you want to send them just your app URL for them to download. That's the second option. The third option is to actually use a smart plan from within KW Command. So if I click on Smart Plans, looks like a diploma here, you'll see I've got 2 tabs. These are my smart plans, the smart plans that I have already included or created myself. If you don't have any, don't worry, we can get them in easily by clicking on the library. These are all 10 of the currently created KWRI or Labs team smart plans created on your behalf. If you click on any of them with View Steps, you'll see what does this smart plan actually do. So to promote my app smart plan, sends them an email immediately. And guys, that email looks a lot like this page, right? Talks about the app, here's the app video, here are the app key features, and if you'd like to download, here are the links. Next, it's going to wait 1 day, and then it has a text message step. If I have Twilio connected within my settings, then this text message gets fired for me automatically. If I have not connected Twilio, then it creates a text task meaning that it's going to tell you you should go send this text message to this person, and here's what we recommend you say. Okay, so just be careful. If you put 200 people on this plan, if you don't have Twilio connected, then tomorrow or by Wednesday, you'll probably have 200 tasks that show up that say, send this text message to all of these people. So I highly recommend Twilio. It is not free. However, it is very inexpensive, meaning that each one of these texts that's getting sent out, as long as they're less than 160 characters, they're going to cost you less than a penny each. It's literally 0.0075 or 7.5 tenths of a cent, less than a penny per text, outgoing or ingoing. So you can go into settings, click on Twilio. It'll ask you to create an account. You do put a credit card number in. It does actually charge you $20. And then every time you go below 10, it'll rebill you another $10 to take you back to 20. It's like the toll tag, right? They just keep rebilling you every time you drop below 10 bucks. Then this plan is going to wait 3 more days and send out a second text, and then the plan is done. If you want to utilize this plan, all you have to do would be click on Add Smart Plan, and then you'll see it show up underneath My Smart Plans. You can click on My Promote My App, which now I have done, and I can do a variety of things. The first thing is I can actually edit this smart plan with regards to the text messages that are being sent out. So here's text number 1, and I've actually gone in and made some edits to this, right? And then you'll see text number 2, and you can make edits to this. Twilio, Twilio, Twilio. You can see it right here, Twilio. So you have the ability, anytime there's a Twilio text being sent from a smart plan, to edit that smart plan. I think it's always best practice to identify yourself in a Twilio text, because remember, that's being fired from your business text line, not your personal cell phone. So oftentimes they won't know it's you. So you can see in this one, it actually says, hey, contact first name, which is one of the merge fields that you can add into any one of these texts. So if this text went out to Stacy, it would say, hey, Stacy. If it went out to Sylvia, it'd say, hey, Sylvia. If it went out to Trent, it would say, hey, Trent. And then it's going to say, this is agent first or last, my name, with KW, and then it has the text, right? Same thing with this one. I actually edited it to say, hey, right, Trent, Tammy, Sylvia, it's Marty with KW. And then it asks the question. It has my specific app link, mine, right? So when you build out the smart plan, it would include your actual smart plan link. So that's option number 3. Use the smart plan to actually add people to it. You can add people to the smart plan from within the smart plan applet by clicking on the plus sign, which will allow you to add people by name or by tag. So if I wanted to add all of my buyers to this smart plan, for example, I would come in, find buyer, then I could see that this was 17 people. I could click on select all. It would highlight all 17, right? Here's 4 of them plus 13 more. And then I could click on add to smart plan. It's going to say, do you want to add them all now? Do you want to add them all at a future date? Or do you want to stagger them out over the following days? And I can choose how I want to handle that. I also have the ability within an individual contact record to add someone to a smart plan. Let's say I just put somebody into my database, a one-off that just got added. I want to come in and, whoops, why is it not? There it goes. Add them to a smart plan. So I would click on smart plans. You can see 5A has not been added to a smart plan, so I could click on add to smart plan and then select promote my app. And I can say whether I want to add them to the smart plan right now or in the future. Finally, you can do the same thing that you did from the smart plan applet under contacts by filtering your database, or you could put them all on it if you wanted to in groups of 50. It's up to you. But anytime you select more than one contact, you're going to get what are called bulk actions. So I can select on bulk actions and then click on add to smart plan, and it would add both Blair and a seller to this actual smart plan by clicking on my promote my app. Okay, so 4 different ways to get your app into people's hands. Share it from within the app, share it manually, use a smart plan, or option number 4, use campaigns. Okay, the campaign applet is this megaphone. So if you click on it and you have connected underneath settings your Facebook profile and your Twitter profile, then you have the ability to use what's called the social quick post feature. So if I come to social post here at the very top, on the right-hand side, if I scroll down, you can see this is the neighborhood video campaign setup. But then you can see that you actually have two options for social posts. So these are being added to every single week. I can tell you this is a brand new post that wasn't here last week. I've taught this class multiple times. So if I wanted to post this one to my social media calendar, I would just click on the arrow. And then you can see here's the text that it recommends. But if you don't like this text for this post, then just change it. Change it again, or change it again, right? So you can see there's a variety, or I can just come in and say, no, this is what I want to say, and actually type whatever you want to say in that actual text. From there, you've actually got a professionally designed marketing photo already loaded. And then you can see that I can decide whether I want to schedule this out or publish it immediately, and whether I want it to go out on my Facebook business page or my actual Twitter account. So I can decide both, one or the other. And then click on schedule post. Right now, this would go out May 12th, so tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I could click on schedule post. It's going to give me a preview of what it looks like in Twitter, what it looks like on Facebook, and then I could click on schedule. And now you'll see, when I look at my list, I now have a new post going out on Tuesday, May 12th. If I decide, hey, I've already posted today and I'm posting tomorrow, or yesterday and tomorrow, you can always come in if you chose not to and edit when it goes out or delete it altogether. I would recommend when you're doing this that you click on shuffle until you get this to show up. Okay, because you can see if you click on shuffle, you're going to get a wide variety of posts that have already been created for you. And you can work through each one and decide, okay, which one do I want to go out on what day? Once you shuffle though, when you get to this point, this is the actual app video that was created by KWRI Marketing, played at Family Reunion, and it's very powerful. I'll play the first 10 seconds here for you. So you can see if you choose to publish this, all I have to do is click on this arrow. It's got the suggested text, and I can change this if I choose to. It automatically includes my personal app link. And then I can decide whether I want to publish this right now. The video is already loaded for me. Or I can actually schedule this out as well. And then when on the calendar do I want it to publish? Let's say Monday the 1st of June. I want it to go out at 9 a.m. And I want to go out on Twitter and Facebook, and I click on schedule. Here's my preview page, and then I can click on schedule posts, and I can now see when I go to the week of May 31st to June 6th, here's my post going out Monday, June 1st. Here's the other nice thing, guys. When you are making these quick posts and you're looking back at your history, you can actually see what people are doing with them. So for example, I posted this video, the same one we just talked about, this morning at 10 a.m. Now, no one has watched it yet, unfortunately, but you would see how many video plays, what was the average watch time, and then how many of your fans or your people that like your page have actually watched the video. So it's kind of statistics on how well are your videos doing, and then you can also see if anyone has on Facebook liked it, commented on it, or forwarded it, shared it, excuse me, and then the same thing on Twitter. So you can see statistics about how well your posts are doing. So that's the fourth way to share your app. For within the app, share your link, share it on social media, or start a smart plan and share it via smart plan. So 4 different ways that you guys can share your app. Now, why would I want to be sharing my app, and what does it look like in Command when people are doing things with my app? So if I were you and I was sharing my app with a large number of people, I would want to know each day who had been recently interacting with either my app, a landing page I had sent out, or my actual agent site. And you can do that from contacts if you click on the last visited column. If I click on that column, you will see that it'll tell me, okay, who has been on your app most recent? And sure enough, I could see, oh, Marty Miller was on the app. He was only on it 32 minutes ago. So if I was doing very directed lead follow-up, I would want to come into my database, sort by this column, and then see who had been interacting with my app most recently. If I know Marty's been on the app 32 minutes ago, I probably want to see what he has been doing. So I can come in and then see, all right, cool. There's a lot of things that he's been up to. So let's go through that. I inadvertently, accidentally created this search twice. I don't know if you saw that when I did it. I think I fat fingered it twice. So you can see I've created 2 different searches. Here's when I branded the app to myself. Do you guys remember when I did that? I removed myself and then I branded it to myself. You can see when the agent was added. You can see that I created a collection the first time I created it and added this property. And then I edited the collection because I added this property to it. And then I viewed it a couple more times when I was showing you the actual collection. Next, I actually requested a video tour. So you can see that I requested a tour. It gives you the property address, so I can look at the actual page of the property itself. And I can actually view the request. So I can see Marty wants to see this property either Tuesday night, anytime Wednesday, or Thursday. He wants it to be a video tour, not in person, and he'd prefer to use Zoom, FaceTime, or Facebook Messenger. So I would just call Marty and say, hey, I'm actually good Wednesday morning. I have FaceTime as well. Would that work? Let's do it Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock. Okay, great. I will FaceTime you when I get to the property, and then we can walk it together electronically from my FaceTime. Obviously, if it's in person, then you would just say, hey, Thursday afternoon is going to work best, 3 o'clock, cool, I'll set up, we'll see, we'll meet at the house. Here's the deal, guys. You're going to get notifications anytime a consumer logs in, you'll get a notification in Command. And you will get a notification anytime someone requests a tour. So you can see this little bell up here, this is notifications. And you can see here's a video tour that was requested, and I got a notification in Command. They will also show up with Kelly. So you get a Kelly notification anytime someone requests a video tour. So important that you have Kelly on your phone, important that you are looking at Command. And again, they can't request a video tour the same day. So as long as you're in Command every single day, at least once a day, you're going to get a heads up of people requesting tours, right? So you're not going to be caught off guard at 3 o'clock that somebody wants one for 5 o'clock. You cannot request it the same exact day. You are not going to get a notification about collections, viewing, editing, or creating, and you're not going to get a notification per se on saved searches. However, remember, any of that activity happens on the app, which means that you're visiting the app, which means that you would then show up in this last visited column. So this is why I'm really telling you, this is an important column to be sorting by, because this is how you know who's doing what. You're not going to know what they're doing until you dive into their contact record, but at least this column tells you they're doing something, and then I'll dive into each of their contact records and see what they're actually doing on their app. So highly recommend you use this column. Lastly, if you want to know who has downloaded my app or registered on my agent site, you can actually click on the filter button here. And then there is a new filter called branded to me, branded to me. So I'm going to choose that filter and say yes, and then apply. And these are all of the people that have either downloaded my app or registered on my agent site, and then I can see their information there. Okay, so this is a quick and easy way for you guys to see how many people are using, or at least have downloaded. And then when we get back into general contacts, are they actually using it? When's the last time they were on it? Did they register for it, right? So this is agent site and the actual consumer app as well. Guys, that's today's class. So to talk about what we talked about search, right? How do I search by landmark, by neighborhood, by filters? How do I search by via the map, right? So I can actually draw an outline. I can see a visual, an overhead satellite view of the properties themselves as well. We talked about collections and saved searches. So how do I save a property to a collection? How do I save an actual search so that I can reference either one of those in the future? How do I hide a property? How do I share a property? And then we dove into the command side of things and said, okay, let's talk about guides. What do they say and how do I edit them? And then how do I walk somebody through a guide? And then finally, we talked about, okay, how can I see what they're doing and when they've done it? And that's by going into the last visited column, clicking on the contact record of people that have been on your site or your app, and then what they were doing while they were there. So it's a great way to kind of get an insight into what the consumer is doing so that you are more informed with regards to their actual property search. This was recorded, guys, just so you know. So if you jumped on late, if you had to leave early, well, if you left early, you're not here right now, but it was recorded. I will send the link, I'll upload it to my YouTube channel, send that over so that your leadership team can then send it out to you so you can see the recording. Also, sometimes, guys, I know I talk a little fast. It's one of my personal opportunities, but you can watch the recording and then pause and then do on the app and then watch and then do and then watch and then do, etc. Right? So what questions do you have, comments, ahas? Let's end the class with some conversations, and then I will get you on your way. What if you see another agent using your app? Is there a way to block them? No, Stacy, I wouldn't really worry about it, honestly. I would just kind of ignore it if it was another KW agent. If it was another agent that was not a KW agent, I would call them and I would have a conversation and it would say, hey, I saw you checking out my KW app. Pretty awesome, isn't it? Did you see that you can actually search via a satellite tour? Did you see that you can actually put in locations and see your average commute time from 3 different locations? Wow. Did you see? I would sell the app to them. And then, right, what a great way, because they're like, man, my company doesn't have an app like this. Well, hey, if you want more information, if you'd like to meet with my team, like Veronica's amazing. I'd love to set up a time for you to come out and meet Veronica. She'll even meet you at a Starbucks if you want, so you're not at the office and you can get to know a little bit more. If you have any questions about Keller Williams in general, I'd love to answer those for you, right? What a great way to grow your downline and change somebody's life, because we know if they're not with KW, the brokerage that they're at may not be as amazing or have these kind of technology tools. So Stacey, if I saw another agent that was using it, they're a KW agent, I would just ignore them, right? They probably should be using their own app, but it is what it is. But if they were a non-KW agent I would use it as a recruiting opportunity. Mariella, it's not there yet, but I'll send a link probably by tomorrow, and then your leadership team will send out that link so you can then see it on YouTube. Trent, you're welcome, sir. Any other questions, comments, ahas, concerns? All right, guys. Well, you are awesome as well. Thanks for being here, and can't wait till Q3 when I get to come back out to the office and see you guys, especially everyone that I've met before, get to know those that I haven't met. Baby's due August 19th, so we're going to do our best to get all those visits before that. Who knows what happens with, tell God your plans and he just laughs at you. So we'll see how it goes, and yet look forward to seeing you guys all very soon in the future. Stay safe and stay healthy, and can't wait to see you again. All right, take care, guys.